We're going to be looking at a couple little 7-year charts that we have, and then we're going to look over some notes from Leeland Jones. And we will add that attachment later, but we're going to kind of see how Revelation and Esther are connected, just the types and shadows, a lot of the stuff that we like to go over, and then talk a little bit about the feast as well, because there's a little bit in here in these first couple chapters of Esther that also speaks about the church and the feast. So I'm going to start off by reading some verses from the book of Esther, just a few that we have picked out, and then we're going to move over to, I believe, the notes. I'll probably go back and forth between this chart here and the notes. I'm not exactly sure how the flow is going to go, but we'll see what happens. So I'm going to start with Esther. We'll start in chapter 1, and we'll look at chapter 1:1 just because at some point, and maybe somebody can kind of give us some insight on the number that's mentioned there. But so in the book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 1, I'm going to slaughter the name, but we're going to do it anyway. So now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, which reigned from India, even unto Ethiopia, over 100, and to bring that one up because we know that numbers mean things always. So we have 127 there. So for the sake of putting it out there, see what anyone has any thoughts on that. Feel free to comment or just see if anyone has any insight to help give us a little more info. So then we'll go to verse 3. In the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces being before him. So we have the 3rd year of his reign, and then I believe we'll have, we'll go over the notes later. Let's move over to chapter 2. I believe we've got, you know what? Nope, chapter 1 still, I forgot. Chapter 1, 9 through 12. So chapter 1, verse 9, also Vashti the king made a feast for the women in the royal house which belonged to King Ahasuerus. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, and Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. So we have 2 different feasts essentially going on here, and I'm going to hold comment until I get through the rest of these verses. So 2, 12, and 16, I believe, are the next ones we have. So chapter 2, verse 12. Now when every maid's turn was come to go into King Ahasuerus, I'm always going to slaughter that one. After that, she had been 12 months, according to the manner of the women, for so were the days of their purifications accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purifying of the women. And then over chapter 2, verse 16. So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. So we get a little bit of info there. Obviously, you're going to want to read all the chapters there, but we have a chart that we get from Leeland, which he compares both Esther to Revelation. We'll go over those notes, but you can kind of see here, just for sake of explaining basics of this, we start here. This is a year, this is a year, this is a year. Each one of these is 1 year, and then you have a 6-month period. So this would be 6 months, 6 months. We start here in 2011. It goes all the way around, and then we see here in 2016, the last half of that would be where the virgins were gathered to be presented to the king. And then right here would be the year that Esther was being prepared for being presented to the king. So that would be in 2017. So let's see if I can grab. We wanted this one, right?
No, go back.
I was gonna say, I just saw this one. Yeah. I was reading off the
Yep,
other
it was
one.
this one here. It just kind of shows the side by side for Esther and Revelation in the prophecies in the first couple of chapters.
Yeah.
Oh, and
So
I don't know if you had wanted to add it, but those first few verses, Esther 1:9 through 1:12, where they're both at their different feasts, and Vashti didn't want to leave her feast to come to the king's feast. She had her own feast in the king's house.
Yeah, that's why I had these notes right here.
Yep, and she refused to come to the king's feast. So it was like today how we see people being invited to the Lord's feast, but because they're too busy with their own feast, they won't come. So that's in the notes too, but that was something that when we were reading earlier that we caught. So yeah, I'll let you go over the other notes. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, I didn't actually read these ones. I'll let you run over those in here in a minute, but this is the ones that I had actually gone over, and that, yeah, I'll just basically read over it. It says, yeah, obviously in the book of Esther, we are given amazing insight into the timing of the book of Revelation. So he compares them. In Esther 1:2, we saw where the king sat on the throne. And then in Revelation 21, here 5 and 6, we see, and he that sat upon the throne, I am the Alpha and Omega, beginning and the end. So we're seeing the parallel here between the story of the king and the story of Messiah. So that's how we're gonna play this out. But 1:3, yeah, like you said, he made a feast, a celebration unto all his servants, nobles, and princes being before him and his throne. Then in Revelation 5:9 through 14, they sang a new song. I don't know if that's 10,000 by 10,000, I'm not sure, but saying with a loud voice, worthy is the Lamb, and worship before him. And then he showed the power, riches of his glorious kingdom, and the honor of his excellent majesty many days. And that's actually, he was trying to show his queen because she was supposed to be part of his glory and his majesty and everything that was great about the kingdom. And then she kind of turned away from him and didn't want to be involved in his feast, and she made her own. So, but then we see worthy is the Lamb to receive power, riches, wisdom, strength, honor, and glory. So we're seeing the comparison again of the two figures right here. I don't know. Oh yeah, so that's Revelation 5:12 is where that one is. And then King commanded the chamberlains to bring the virgins or gather the virgins, and then we have the gathering, or the seven church angels bringing. I don't like it. I hate the way he does his notes, but he's talking here about the seven churches and comparing the seven churches with the seven chamberlains that went out to gather the virgins, and then his right hand and the angels. Yeah, so the seven churches. So right here, he shows the comparison with Queen Vashti, which would be not rude, but the church. We have the feast that he's trying to give us, to bring us to, feast that Yahweh has basically set for us. And then we have the group of people that turned away from those feasts and are celebrating their own feasts. I don't know what the 2 years is here. Therefore was the king wroth, and his anger burned in him. And then Vashti, like Jezebel, seduces the church to commit fornication by celebrating the feasts of other gods. He will cast her and those with her into the great tribulation. And then we have the that much, yeah. I don't know. I haven't quite gotten that far on those yet. But then he says the fair virgins being sought, and then he's comparing the 144,000 of the virgins that were in of the virgins, the 144, which were in fact virgins, as described in Revelation 14:4. So they're bringing those comparisons there as well. So you see basically with Esther and the Revelation that they are very much connected. So that's pretty sure that's why Miss Elena over here wants to go over Esther, and I'm still new to Esther, but I'm loving learning about it. And then this one, yeah, I think this one does really get to go more into the numbers, but the numbers are where I tend to struggle. But we do, oh, that's the other thing. Comparing it to the signs in the sky, yeah.
Yeah,
So you have the corona. Remember what was that we were going over earlier? Remember the all the
we were
constellations?
just doing a random word study. We were doing a word study on tribulation, and we were talking about something, and we looked over at a verse that was on there, and it had just happened to, like, I don't know, it wasn't connected to this though. But here there's a lot of things I want to go further into that I need to go take more notes on. I wanted to get these names of these seven
Chamberlains.
Chamberlains. Yeah, he has eunuchs here. And I want to pick apart what the meanings of those names are and these numbers, because I think there's something to that too. But you could see here, side by side, this is the first 7 years of tribulation, or not tribulation. There's 7 years before the tribulation that you can look at on timeline.
So yeah, it'd be 14 years total.
Yeah, 14 years, and we only got a couple of years left.
Yeah, and then Esther's her preparation is what begins it. So on that calendar that you see before, the beginning of the book of Esther, where she's prepared, is where the beginning of the first 7 years are, and then you'll see it switch over to the second 7 years, which would be the tribulation years, and that's why you have two different pages of those calendars.
And I don't know the first 7 years that well. I know a little bit of it, but I didn't start studying until 2019. So I started looking at the 7-year timeline more. But there's so many things in this timeline really fit events that have happened, and we'll pull up some of the most recent ones. But here we can see the king sits on the throne and the lamb on the throne in Revelation 4:5. And then power, riches, glory, kingdom, honor, excellence, majesty, and that aligns with 5:12. The feast, 180 days, 360. So
he's using the 360.
Yeah, I don't know how he did this math and stuff, but you could just see the stuff here, the side by side.
I'll link the videos below, because it's really hard to go by his notes, but I'll put the video below so people can kind of get, at least he'll explain the numbers to you.
Yeah, and then you see the Feast of Purim wedding supper, which I don't know what he's getting at with that there, but I do agree with the idea that the feasts in general have to do with being at the wedding supper, because when you understand the feast in a prophetic way and you see you can see Jesus in the feast, that's like getting intimate and being at the wedding supper, eating the word, because it's not like a literal dinner. We're going to be up in the clouds eating a big ham, coloring Easter eggs while,
gross,
the world gets burnt up. Because what are you really expecting? Because you guys, I'm not trying to be mean, but I try to joke. Just seriously though, we're not going to be doing Christmas and Easter and stuff in heaven with Jesus.
No,
it's not going to be like that. So like, if you are that connected with it now and that's what you like now, that's what you're going to get. And that's not with him. So it's just, I don't know. It sounds messed up. But
we're Isaiah 66 that has that.
Yeah, it might be. I know that's the one that talks about the swine.
Oh, no, I was looking for the new covenant.
Yeah, I don't know, but this is it's just
so I mean, in the one that it talks about the new covenant very clearly states that he's going to put his law in our hearts, all that stuff, and then it talks about the feast that will be celebrated in the end in New Jerusalem.
I think it's Jeremiah that.
Oh, gotcha.
Jeremiah 30 something. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not good with quoting the.
It's in one of our older videos. Go back to our old information.
Anyways, you can go on. Let's
Right.
just put it on the screen. You could look at it, compare.
All right. Did you want to?
What do we have left? Is that it?
Oh no, we got more. So I did want to quickly cover this because I just kind of want to show you people basically how. So we have to do a lot more study on than this. Like we're at this point where we know what goes from here on. First, we don't know as much, which we definitely have to look more into. But I think we're both more knowledgeable about this part because that's what's ahead of us and that's what we're looking for. But just to give you guys a quick little insight, you can see here, so 2017 is where the other one ends. You have 2018. I don't know if you guys knew about the trumpet blasts that were going on, but we did have trumpet blasts. We did have the eclipses, and what was it? I'm trying to remember. There's blood moons and stuff that go along with all of these. Those occurred. We did see some of this happening a little bit physically. Now this is all going to be spiritually happening, so you can kind of see what's going on today, but these things are actually physically happening as well. We see this, so ulcers, I don't want to say, but we've seen that come with the same thing that happened right around this time frame. These things started showing up on people's skin from the thing. And then we also see this right here, which I'll show you like real quick. You can actually very quickly just type it into YouTube, which is what I'll do. And then right here, scorched sun, you'll actually, if you pay attention to weather and like solar activity, so the solar minimum that's we're in right now, they predict it to actually be at its highest or its worst. I want to say 2024 or 25, but this entire time, it's basically the sun is going to be quote unquote getting like colder or less powerful, less whatever you want to call it, but it's diminishing to where you would, I think, if they're claiming like 2024, 2025 is basically where the worst of it's going to be, and they don't know what's going to happen, but some hypothesize that would be when the like sun goes away, but I don't think anyone's necessarily saying that mainstream, but they're definitely talking about this stuff happening. And then, yeah, I think you said you wanted to wait on some of this stuff, but
no, go ahead. You can keep going. You're good.
Well, with the so we know that this is being predicted right now, and it's actually started probably here, but so that's going to continue basically getting worse and worse until this point. Right here, 2023, what happens right before 2024? So this is in January 2024 is when we're going to have our new seated individual. So technically speaking, we're going to know around this time frame right here when that next person, which technically speaking, they usually call the people that sit in those spots beasts. There's many beasts. So each and every single one of them would be called a beast. So we're going to know now which new quote unquote beast will be. You kind of have to think like, I'm not even going to say the word. We'll call it tally because I don't even want to say the word because I know that they're, we'll say vote or tally. I'm not going to say the E word because I know they're getting hard on that one as well. But that's happening right here. I don't know if anyone can imagine what's going to happen right here because I think the faith in the system is kind of dropped on the red side just because how do I put this? They think it was rigged, but technically it was rigged, but it was not rigged in the way that conservatives think it was rigged. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they needed who's in office now to
like
he's purposely messing up real bad.
Right. I was like, it's always rigged. It has always been planned out. Your vote doesn't mean anything. Let me be straight with you guys. It's not decided by you.
I don't know what he's got here where it says like AC killed, Antichrist killed, and the Antichrist reign starts. I don't know how he explains that and what exactly that means, but I don't know. We'll come to that another time. But here, where it says 6 bullfrogs, I want to bring something up about that in a minute, because I think that could have to do with this time being that, one thing going on that year. The big E.
Yep.
So there'll be a lot of fighting between the red and the blue and over Trump, and who knows. Do we even have an idea who's going to be running? We should be getting like an idea soon. The CPAC thing is today, which is interesting because that was one of the fulfillments last year of Purim. Now that we're thinking about it, was it last year or the year before? I don't know. I can't keep track anymore. But the year that right after that thing came out on Purim, after that, they had the golden statue of Trump.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I was say this. I think this time frame here, 2022. I think we needed I can't even imagine what's going to happen here until we see what happens here, because this is going to be an important election year as well.
I don't want to try to guess too much of the ahead stuff, but just have an idea. I do want to keep an open mind to the promise that the one thing is going to go away, and that if it does go away and they offer money, to be aware of that, because
right.
A lot of people might take that, and that's just as bad as everything else.
Right. Yeah, a lot of this is I try to never predict anything, and I don't want to sit here. My brain is trying to wrap around how on earth is this going to go down.
Yeah,
I'm not going to predict. I'm not going to know.
Well, but the thing is we've been programmed to expect it all to happen a certain way, and even if you've studied end time prophecy and stuff, there's a lot of very I don't know, there's a picture out there of prophecy, and it's not what it really is. And things have been playing out different. They fit prophecy, but they don't fit the idea that we've been fed for years. So we got to kind of get out of what we expect and just kind of let them show us what's happening instead.
I mean, that's actually how it is with everything right now, because we're realizing that pretty much everything that's been taught to us is wrong.
I know. I expected to be living in the woods somewhere right now, to be real.
Right.
I think a lot of us.
That even goes with my flat earth stuff too. I love it when I get approached and they're like, you should have all the answers because you're the ones studying this. And I'm like, guys, you realize we've been told wrong for how many decades now? It takes time to correct it. So we study and we listen and we wait for word, and we don't try to predict for sure. But I mean, we do have I can't say that this timeline is correct, but we can see the things happening, and that's what we're looking for. And we're looking for the signs that were already given to us, and we have them happening. And so that's what we know.
Yeah. And the prophecy happens in cycles. Yep. And
I mean, we've seen it happen how many times now? Nothing new under the sun, very literally.
Yeah. So when a lot of people will say, well, that was already fulfilled in this time. There could have been a fulfillment of that prophecy in this time, but what's it going to look like when it's fulfilled again? Because it's going to happen again.
That's why we look at types and shadows, because it's all types and shadows.
Yeah, there's all kinds of shadows throughout all this stuff, and it's really cool to look at that. But did you want to pull up the blood?
Yeah.
I had to exit out of all my tabs because it was running. It was making the sound skip. So
we got to get you upgraded next. You're next, girl. We'll get it figured out. Let's see. So I don't know if did you want to do any of Leeland's? I'm going to at least show you, because he does go over it in this video.
Yeah, you can.
We haven't been on that long. I can do a quick, you want to sit back and listen to about 8 minutes of him talking about the calendar?
Yeah, I'm going to mute my mic. Go ahead.
All right. It's going to take me a second to get set up, and then I'll have to get me on a messenger just in case you need to chat, okay? Because my sound is special. I have to go back and forth. Same problem as before. I'll get it fixed. We're working on it. All right. So All right, somewhere around here. Let me unplug.
Showing you the schedule. This has all happened. It's already going on. Okay. So that point by which Esther is prepared is right here. It's right here. Now it doesn't correspond directly with the sixth seal. So let me actually bring the camera over here, and I'm going to show you this. It's important you see, and also tell you about some other things. All right. So when we're looking at this, guys, this is what I'm talking about. This is Esther's year of preparation. Now, these are intervals of 180 days, okay? Now, you can see when we talked about the blood moons, those intervals are also, now these are a lunar calendar. So 176 plus 178 is 354. That's a lunar year, okay? But these relate to these intervals here. So you have the blood moons taking place, right? And those are the horses, white horse, red horse, black horse, pale horse. We are now in the time of the fifth seal, the souls under the altar, where this just happened last week. All right. Then what you're
keeping in mind that this was in March of 2016. He's been doing this for a while.
you're going to have is the sixth seal. The sixth seal is basically takes place for a year because the seventh seal is only a half hour. So this whole period is the sixth seal. This overlaps with Esther, but it's not exact. The reason for that is it's marked by Purim. So Purim on the Enoch calendar is the 15th day of the 12th month, 2016. That's going to be February 26, 2017. This is the middle point of Esther's preparation, but you can see the middle point is in February. Okay, so you can see it ends in August 2017, the 21st, right? See this 176? Well, that's really 180 days. So it's going to be August 2016. So this year is going to shift slightly. That's why, see that this is a solar eclipse. That's why I have that here. And this is Purim right here. So this whole thing is going to overlap slightly for just a week, where the sixth seal is going to follow Esther's year of preparation. Okay, so guys, that's going to happen. That year of preparation, that begins in August 2016. Middle point is Purim. People are saying, "Oh, Lord's coming on Purim." No, he's not. Purim is the middle point of the preparation. Then she's going to be ready in August 2017, and the Lord is going to return. Now, this is exactly consistent with what the Lord said. He said, after the tribulation of those days, what day?
I gotta plug back in. Hold on. You there, girl?
Yeah, I'm here.
So I'm looking at this and I'm wondering, what is he talking about here? Did you follow along with that?
Yeah, I was following along. He said something about the return. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm
I
confused
think
here.
it's just because he had, at that point in time, thought maybe there was going to be a rapture. So he corrects himself throughout his videos if you've watched through them.
Yeah.
Like, he makes assumptions and guesses, and he's wrong, and he'll admit when he's wrong and stuff like that. Because
This isn't
I think earlier in his earlier days, he believed in like a rapture of some type or some type of a return. I don't know, but you'll see where he corrects himself later, and you'll see that he even later in his videos starts to more like humble himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And talk about how we have kind of thought that prophecy was going to happen one way, but we know that it's happening because we can see that certain things have happened in these timelines, and we have these dates and things that fit prophecy happen on those dates. It just doesn't fit our idea of what prophecy was going to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I was hoping that was one of his newer ones.
He had guessed Obama as being the Antichrist or whatever. Or it's the little horn thing. I don't know. Something with Trump and him going back and forth.
There we go. Is that, hang on, let's make sure we have the right one this time. Is this the right one now? So this would be, yeah, okay.
And this is the.
I had the wrong one. I'm like, what? I didn't realize I didn't look at the picture close enough. So this is the one where we show here with the oil versions gathered. Yep. But this is what I like about this one, because these things we actually see happening. So that is what I will show on my, my bad on that one. But basically, this is what I'm talking about. We always pick and choose, and we say this on like every single video. We pick and choose what we have, what we listen to, what we learn about. Like we correct where correction's needing. But the thing that is definitely happening, you can actually see these events that are happening on this timeline here. So right now we're actually seeing a lot of this happening, the blood. So basically all I did was, well, you can type in 2021, 2022, but if you type that in YouTube, you're going to essentially get it. There are many stories. So I'm going to show a couple of them real quick, and I'm going to unplug. All right. So this one was, so here's the Day of Atonement one.
Something strange is happening with the Dead Sea. A pool of water located close to the Dead Sea in the biblical region of Moab, modern-day Jordan, has mysteriously turned blood red. The phenomena is happening during the feast of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, when Jewish people are to beg God for forgiveness of sins. Water from the Red Lagoon, just inside the Jordan border, is being.
Okay, so I don't want to be here forever because I want to show you. That's not the only one. Let's see if I can find the other ones. I know there was some in China. Let's see.
What's with that Antichrist prophecy location?
Do what?
The right here. Water turns
Blood red. Yeah, I think that was this. That's why I skipped it, because I think it's talking about the same one.
Oh, okay.
Mid-East location. I think it was talking about the same Purim one, but let's check it. Why not? Woo, bruh. It's 19 minutes, so let's do this. Where's the interesting part?
I was just curious of where it was, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Israel and nations.
Live stream titled Israel and Nations Meet with Antichrist Ally.
I don't know, but oh yeah, it is the same one. Yep. Yes. Okay, so that's the same one.
And that happened what Day of Atonement? See, this
that was the Day of Atonement. I believe that was last year. Yeah. Yeah, these all started happening. Like it happened. I saw some like 2 years ago, but it started like becoming more frequent. Yeah, and I'll show you a couple places that you guys can look at as well. I'll show you real quick a couple like channels. I hate ads. I watch channels that have these things in tiny clips. So is this still an ad? No. There it is. Yep.
நிறைய கண்ட்ரீஸ்லயும் ஆறு குளம் ஏரி எல்லாம் ரத்த கலர் எல்லாம் மாறிடுச்சு. இது எதுக்கு மாறிடுன்னு வீடியோக்குள்ளவே பார்க்கலாமா? தண்ணி ரத்த கலர்ல மாறினது இன்னும் வரைக்கும் மிஸ்ட்ரியாவே இருக்கு. நிறைய கண்ட்ரீஸ்ல ரிப்போர்ட் வித்தியாசமா கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. அதுல 4 ரீசன் மட்டும்.
How many? Hold on. So according to, some of these are different languages, so the English isn't the greatest, but I'm trying to figure out. It's not like that much, obviously, but I think this just showing, no, that's showing a complete, I don't think this picture is at all related. I'm going to be honest. I don't know why. I think it's one of those videos where they post stuff that doesn't make any connection, but there's just another one. You saw that over here. That's a separate area. I've seen these multiple times in different videos.
10 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடியே இப்படி கலர் சேஞ்ச் ஆயிருக்கு. 2020லயும் ரஷ்யால சேஞ்ச் ஆயிருக்கு. ஆனா இன்னும் எந்த கண்ட்ரியும் கரெக்டான ரீசனை கண்டுபிடிக்கல. இது ஒரு மிஸ்ட்ரியாவே இருக்குது. இது வரைக்கும் 22
So we have that. We have the thing. We have the ridiculousness going on right now. The upside down, like evil, good, good, evil. But let me see. The two preachers. So these guys are a while, but they post multiple times a week, and every time they post a different event that happens. And you'll start to see if you watch these, like it's straight up signs, like straight from the Bible. These events that are happening, like I get that technically speaking, like if you were to look at the whole world, obviously there would be a lot of events going on. But if you look at it compared to like the past decade or maybe 2 decades, there's a few people that have charted out different events and then seen how many times it happens each year. And they're starting to see like the increase, especially with the magma flow going on right now, what they're claiming to call a solar minimum. And the volcanoes and earthquakes are way bigger right now. Like there's way more frequent. A lot of them are getting hidden by USGS. They you'll see them. I can't remember what the name of the other one is, the other service that does it. But if you look at the different ones, I have a couple different apps that use different ones, and you'll see in some of them they'll show up, and then on the other ones they won't. But there's a lot going on the West Coast that they're not talking about. There were a few more quakes on La Palma that they didn't talk about. That's just kind of like a trend. They avoid it. But if you go and look at these channels, yes, a lot of stuff happens, but yes, the trend is increasing if you look at it scientifically and you find the people that combine the data, which I would have to go back and try to find who was doing that work. I believe it was Dutch Sense, or I don't know. I can't remember the other person, but let me make sure. Plug back in, maybe. But brought that up because when you bring it back to this one, this newer one here. Oh, what happened? No. Why does it keep going away? There we go. Whatever. I'm going to leave it as is. Yeah, we saw a lot of locust stuff happening around that time as well. They had and then we see the famine and the droughts going on the West Coast are like the worst that's happened in decades. So just a lot of signs going on.
Yeah. So when I seen this 6 bull frogs thing, I thought about the stuff here with, hold on. I'm just gonna rephrase.
Did you want to screen share, by the way?
I just did the screen share.
Hold on. Okay, let me get off mine. Bruh, there we go. Okay.
So, it's the Cult of Keck video she has, and it's about Q and Trump, and it shows you all their stuff related to frogs, and she goes into the origins of the Q movement, her opinions, and the Cult of Keck, and how they are part of the second beast system described in the book of Revelation, chapter 13, 11 through 18. how Pepe the frog became associated with the Egyptian light bringer frog god Kek, and how the Chan boards combined Q, Pepe, Trump, and Kek. The Kek prophecy, how the Chan boards employed mimetic, boomerang, and chaos magic. The concept of false light in the first and second beast in Revelation 13 is explained. Q claims to be saving humanity, a claim that is rejected by scripture, which says Jesus is the only one who saves humanity. Q promises a false future by assuring humanity there will be a future after the final reset. And the Fed discussion on the restoration of the mystery religions, Great Awakening, Freemasonic tenet, dark to light. Q initiated humanity on a massive scale into the light. So yeah, this.
Yeah, it's definitely an antichrist for sure. I have not heard anything about that, but that's
You
interesting.
want to watch it?
Yeah, you got a few minutes. Just throw it up there and see what.
Hey everyone, I'm Alexandra, and there's a lot I want to get to in this video today. But I also want you to know that the definitions and explanations kind of build on it. I've left links in the description below. In the past, I've given my opinion as why I think Q and Trump are with the second beast mentioned in the book of Revelation 13, verses 11 through 18, also called the false prophet system or the alliance. With that in mind, I think it's a good time to discuss the phenomenon that is the cult of Kek, and how Trump and Q figure into it. People are sick in reference to the deep state, the cabal, or the first beast. On March 2nd of 2019, President Trump gave a speech at CPAC and used this exact same phrase.
These people are sick.
Interestingly, on March 4th, 4 days later, another source used this exact same phrase, the Illuminati. Some wish for swifter justice against humanity's oppressors, but crushing the worker ants does not stop queens. These people are sick, and their predatory infection must be sterilized by the light. If they hide among us, we will continue to drag them out from our own ranks. In my video, Trump is not a savior, I explained how there were two versions of the New World Order, the dark and the light. The Illuminati is now aligned with the false prophet system, the second beast of Revelation 13, or the light New World Order, as opposed to the cabal, the first beast, and the dark New World Order. Speaking of Illuminati, a card game called the Illuminati New World Order was released in 1995 by Steve Jackson Games. It's pretty controversial considering the playing cards show events such as 9/11, which at the time hadn't happened yet. But I wanted to show you this card called the Frog God. According to Egyptian occult history, Kek is one of the 4 frog gods and is the deification of the concept of primordial darkness. He was the god of the darkness of chaos, the darkness before time began. The Egyptians saw the nighttime, a time without the light of the sun, as a reflection of this chaotic darkness. As a god of the night, Kek was also related to the day. He was called the bringer in of the light. He was responsible for the time of night that came just before sunrise, or the dawn. And cartoon frogs started trending on 4chan and 8chan. According to Reddit, Pepe is a cartoon of an indie comic that evolved into an internet meme popular on 4 and 8chan's political boards. The word Kek originally had nothing to do with Pepe. It came from the video game World of Warcraft, which has 2 major political factions. That sounds familiar. The Horde and the Grand Alliance. If a Horde player typed LOL in the chat, Alliance players would see it as Kek, to symbolize the language barrier. 4chan adopted it as an alternative to LOL or Laugh Out Loud. Pepe was also a popular meme at this point, but had no real connection to Kek. In October of 2015, Trump tweeted this. The Chan boards were surprised that the presidential candidate had used Pepe. They went one step for Egyptian frog god of chaos. As a result, the 2 memes were combined. Now here's where it starts to get weird. Someone on the Chans found a vinyl from 1986. It was an Italian pop song called Chatelet, made by an Italian artist named Pepe. The album art was a frog with a magic wand.
Remember the magic wand? Once you're going to get a magic wand? Yeah, I got a magic wand.
The artist's name on the vinyl is actually an acronym.
Think about the magic wand in the
Yep.
statue's hand. Purim. I just had to say that. And then the MAGA and stuff.
Oh yeah. She's like making this straight up obvious.
Yeah.
But let's have a look at the lyrics. They're actually translated from Italian. Cosmic absolute, regular reality, breadth of an image or concept, syntony of civilizations. Confused descendants of rebel cells, I fly towards the universe. I'll pass through it. If you are a star, show yourself. I will stop. And then the chorus goes on to say, Chatelet, Chatelet, my freedom. But at the bottom, this poster says, gentlemen, we need to decipher the message. By the way, it's literally happening. Memes have transcended reality. I won't attempt to decipher the lyrics, but I do find it interesting they mention an image, and they use the word syntony, which is an archaic form of synchronicity. It also reads like an ode to freedom. Every post on a Chan board is given a unique ID and number. Users try to get posts with repeating digits or dubs. Sometimes they get tricks, which is free in particular. If a post has an impressive repeating number, it's considered a sign of approval from Keck. This post from June of 2016, 5 months before the election, tagged many other posts and simply said, got an incredible 8 sevens in the stamp. Not only that, but the user
Sorry, I just
Egyptian deity.
It's just really unpredictable, and people can make forecasts and they can make predictions, but those predictions.
it starts talking about the meme magic and stuff.
War across some of the most popular websites, blogs.
But this is
And I saw 3 of the mouth
Hey, there you go.
mouth of the false prophet, for they are the spirits of devils, working miracles which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world,
Pause that real
which
quick.
gathered unto the battle of God Almighty.
that's the part I wanted to get to.
There it is. We love when we get it to the
Now,
scripture.
have you pull that map back up? Can you do that? I'm gonna stop my share. Not the map, the calendar thing. Right now, look at this and think about this, because I don't, like I said, I don't want to protect stuff, but he's got a reason he put the Antichrist killed in that time, right? So this, we see the 5th bowl, beast, sea, darkness, and bowl frogs. So could that have something to do with if
Filling
that,
that system,
yeah, like if
the whole system altogether.
yeah, is he killed then? You know what I mean? Or is the system killed? Is it a literal death? If it's a literal death, like what is that going to look like after that? Like, you know,
And then you think about the shadow, I hate saying these words, the shadow GOV right here. So it says AC starts here. Like we had him visibly for a while before this. And
Right.
then his shadow reign did in fact start at the time we
but
have
then
our
there's
fake
also
person now.
that theory of the suffering servant, and if he's killed at this point,
Yes.
that would make him the suffering one, and then the
Right.
conquering king being whoever comes in to take his place after that. Because would it be one of his sons or Jared or someone
They're
else?
too young, unfortunately, but unless we got rid of that rule, because it's not technically under Constitution anymore.
Which other one of his sons is old enough, right?
No, you got to be was it 45? They're not I don't think he's that old. I could be wrong. I don't know how old his son is. He doesn't look that old to me, but I could be totally wrong.
It could be anybody. It could be anybody, but
Right.
there's that
Oh, Kushner. I don't know how old Kushner is.
where that theory comes from. I don't want to start searching right now because I don't want the I'll look at my phone to see if I can find that. But I believe it has something to do with, because we see Jesus is the suffering servant and he's coming back as the conquering king, and we know that he's the Messiah coming back twice. They look at it as 2 separate people. And I think they don't think either one has come because they don't accept Jesus, right?
Right.
So they're looking for 2 separate people. And I don't think that we've, like a whole lot of people have plugged that into prophecy and they've made these 2 separate people one person. So maybe it is Obama that comes back. Who knows? You know, like I said, it could literally be anybody, but
Right.
feel
It's
like
the
they're-
spirit that we're looking for. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We know the spirit and we know exactly what it's going to look like when it does happen. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, it's groups and stuff. So that's a good time to watch. And that's like what, mid 2023. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. We'll start seeing a lot of it right here. And we might even start to see a little bit of beginnings here when we start to see what happens with our Congress and everything right here. See if it swings more red or if it stays the same and they just keep this weird nothing happening pattern going on, or if it starts to fight right here, because we might start fighting back right here if red starts gaining control. Well, we have control in the Senate, but if we gain full control, there might be a race towards the next one right here.
I just thought that was interesting about the frogs, because think about them, that group, and if he is killed at that time, what would break out in this country after that? Because I believe that would be what.
Sorry, my brain actually thought about what happened in Egypt.
If he is killed, the people who follow him, and if Obama is running at that time, or if, something related to that situation,
Yeah,
the country will be insane. I don't know. Just guessing. There's a lot of ways to go. I'm interested in seeing who's running. That's what I want.
Right.
Obama can't run again, right? He did too.
No, he's not technically speaking, but I mean, if you want to get really technical, we are not under Constitution at this point, so it really doesn't matter. It's the Corporation of America. So, I mean, technically anything could happen because we don't actually we have this false idea that we're being under constitutional republic right now. No, that was defeated a long time ago and people didn't realize it. So technically anything could happen legally just by the legal jargon, the way they have it written out right now. There's not a whole lot of restriction on what they can and can't do. So theoretically a 30-year-old could become president.
Yeah, so maybe we'll see something crazy happen like that. Who knows? I need to look more at the scripture he has for this.
Yeah.
Check into all of that.
Yeah, this looks like Pipit going down, because that's actually how they're ruling right now anyway, because they have all the people. It's an underground thing right now. If I was still following it, I can't stand to read any more of that stuff. But if I was still following that group, I'm sure there would still be them all in there fighting, saying that they're still gonna defeat them and that it's.
Can you look up what time CPAC was on? I think we could probably just end this here soon because it's right at about an hour, I think.
But now Joe Biden's seen as a weak, and I hate to say it because I want him to do a great job. I really want him to. Politically, I don't care. I would much rather have him do a great job than a poor job. But nobody could ever believe how bad and weak and grossly incompetent it has been. And when you have a weak president who is not respected by other nations, you have a very chaotic world. And the world has been this chaotic since World War II. I think we can say that very strong. I have no doubt that President Putin made his decision to ruthlessly attack Ukraine only after watching the pathetic withdrawal from Afghanistan, where the military was taken out first, our soldiers were killed, and American hostages plus $85 billion worth of the finest equipment anywhere in the world were left behind. Yesterday, reporters asked me if I thought President Putin was smart. I said, of course he's smart, which I was reading at all. That's just terrible things. I'd like to tell him, yes, he's smart. The NATO nations, indeed the world, as he looks over what's happening strategically with no repercussions or threats whatsoever, they're not so smart. They're looking the opposite of smart. If you take over Ukraine, we're going to sanction you, they said. Sanction? Well, that's a pretty weak statement. Putin has said, we're going to sanction you. They sanctioned you for the last 45 years. You mean I can take over a whole country? They're going to sanction you. You mean they're not going to blow us to pieces, at least psychologically?
You see that blow us to pieces psychologically, and if you go and watch the whole thing, I'm not saying watch the whole thing, but at the beginning, within like at the 2-minute mark, if you go to watch the hour-long thing, he talks about psychologically, and I have a feeling if you were to watch the whole thing, he mentions the psychologically and things to that effect a lot. And how he just mentioned it hasn't been like this since World War II. I don't know if we're necessarily going to see a crazy like big bombs being dropped or anything like that. I think the war is more psychological, and it's happening now with all of the things that they're doing. What he's doing here, manipulating people's
I was gonna
minds.
say, let me chime in real quick before you continue there.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, of course, with like the psychological stuff, but have you been paying attention to the banter between Joe Biden and Putin at all?
Not at all. I don't watch
So-
the news or nothing. I just looked this up because I knew that this was happening today. I caught wind of that, and I wanted to
Right.
because while I was talking about Purim, I wasn't sure because I know we're following that March 17th calendar just because it's more convenient. But I'm watching the other one, so I wanted to see if this happened to fall, and it does. So
Yep. I just wanted to bring it up real quick because it's exactly what I was talking about earlier, where everybody's setting an intentional scene here, because what you saw, if you watch between Joe Biden and Putin, you'll realize it's very theater-like, and Biden is the same as he is with everything. He's just terrible at what I don't know exactly what's going on, but it's intentional patheticness of handling situations. So
it's really bad acting. I'm sorry.
Right. But it's all so that this man can set the scene. So he can say, okay, see, America, see what happens when you get rid of me, you get this guy. And it's literally like, it's all a perfect setup for him, him to be like basically shot down from his first one, like when he just lost, to building up to his comeback. It's like that's why there's a spirit. There's not one antichrist, there's a spirit, and there's types and shadows throughout the whole thing, and he's doing the same thing. He acts like Jesus. Like, yeah, he got taken down, and now he's setting the scene for him, like, this is what it's like without me, so I'm going to return and save you guys. Like, that's exactly what it looks like is happening, and it's so pathetic when you look at the politics between Biden and all the other countries. It looks so theatrical. It's pathetic.
And the whole Space Force thing.
Right.
Problem is not that Putin is smart. Of course he's smart, but the real problem is that our leaders are dumb. So they so far allowed him to get away with this travesty and assault on humanity. That's what it is. This is an assault on humanity. It's so sad. Putin is playing Biden like a drum, and it's not a pretty thing as somebody that loves our country to watch. It's not a pretty thing to watch. You know, I was with Putin a lot. I spent a lot of time with him. I got along with him. I got along with President Xi. I got along with Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un is a massive nuclear power. It's a good thing to get along with people. Not a bad thing. It can be very tough to get along. You know, I'm the one that ended his pipeline. He said, "You're killing me with the pipeline." Nobody was sending this pipeline. But I did a lot of things that were very tough in Russia. No president was ever stopped Russia.
Yeah, you see the way he paints himself.
Yeah, and I know that it's probably just the tip of what you'll find some symbolically through the speech, and who knows what else is there. Yeah, do you want to pull that calendar back up for a second?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good.
So yeah, so this is where we can see that Purim would have started at sundown, and that he basically started speaking right at sundown. So
This is February.
Yeah, and this is why we kind of watch several calendars too, because we're not sure which one of us are calculating it properly. And
Right.
Leland seems to be real close to on for a lot of.
Well, he got this one pretty darn.
Yeah, I know, and he's got other things, the
Oh,
exact days.
right.
The only thing that I said was a couple days different was that anointing oil one, and that could be a lot of things. So
Right.
I don't know. I know we should be keeping them in the season, and we should be watching and studying the calendar. It's got a lot of other, like, it's studying scripture, so it's just another way to look at it. So
Yeah, because we don't know the day or the hour, but we know the season. We can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but we're supposed to watch. We're supposed to know the signs, and that's what we go over.
yeah, and that's why we're saying signs, and we're giving you the idea of the year we believe, and we need to start looking at these feasts now, looking at the feast over the last few years, these timelines. So I don't know. There's some of it. So